morning. Welcome in. Happy 4th. A great place to go is the Briar Patch in Livingston. Brian Eisenhood and the team at the Briar Patch in Livingston welcome you. The Briar Patch in Livingston. Talking about a great place for a Bloody Mary. Tito's Vodka Bloody Mary or Aperol Spritz. The Briar Patch in Livingston. Wonderful food, too. The Briar Patch. It's got a little bit of Charleston, South Carolina. A little bit of Mississippi Delta. Little bit of New Orleans. They mix up that gumbo real good, and it's a super cool bar at the Briar Patch in Livingston. We're ESPN 105.9 The Zone. We are the Out of Bounds Show, and we're streaming live on the Out of Bounds radio app. And you can watch the show right now. In fact, I'm wearing an Ohio State pullover, which Jackson didn't even comment on this morning, which is fine. But I'm wearing my Ohio State pullover from when Cardell Jones and Zeke Elliott and Urban Meyer won the national championship. And the Big Ten went a pretty long period of time between championships. And then somebody named Jim Harbaugh knocked down one this past year for the Michigan Wolverines.
Do you remember when you got that?
Yeah, I do. Do you?
Oh, yeah, I do. It was cool because it was given to you, right?
It was given to me by Dr. Steve Cochise.
Big Ten.
We call him Big Ten. His dad coached at Purdue in the Big Ten. He's been a physician here for 20 years. His dad coached at Duke, Tennessee, Purdue, and Southern Miss.
I don't know that.
And Cochise got this because the Big Ten won it and said I had to wear it.
That's right.
Yeah.
I was unaware that was
the whole tie.
Good God, I didn't know he coached all those places.
He did.
I knew the tie somewhat, but yeah, I knew it was a sweet pullover.
Yeah.
I knew he was, nudging us to make sure you wore it.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, you had to. Big Ten won it.
Well, and because I talked so much trash. All right, Out of Bounds, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. We welcome in Dave Bartoo. He loves this. Back-to-back days. College football insider Dave Bartoo. This is the way Bartoo introduces himself in Portland and the surrounding areas. Hello, college football insider. He joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Hey, man, thanks for going back-to-back days. Yesterday was awesome, and I really appreciate you doing this.
Geez, when I said give me a call anytime, I didn't say carry the show. Good Lord, what's about Jackson for?
I love it.
No, it's cool. You and I've been going back a long ways, and I'm just as much as a curmudgeon as I like to be. I do like just talking football stories and seeing what the numbers say.
Yeah,
because it changes every year, and I think it's why college football really is my favorite sport. Is because it's a roller coaster. Right? I mean, NFL, you don't remember the last upset. There's no upsets, right? You just, for some reason, people just watch it a lot. But is it more emotionally entrancing and exciting as college football? I don't believe it is. I really don't. And as a numbers guy, the ability, or actually the inability, to figure out what's going on year over year, outside of, let's say, Alabama's run or Georgia's recent run, the inability to figure out the roller coaster is what drives me. It's so fascinating. It's being wrong, because then it just asks the question of what's going on here. So,
right.
Nah, I mean, you can call me anytime, man. I do love talking about stuff like this.
Dave Bartoo on the show. Bartoo taking crazy pills, joining the Out of Bounds show. He's talking to SEC fans.
Not an insider.
I love it. Hunting insider, outdoorsman insider, Dave Bartoo on the Out of Bounds show.
We could do some shows on elk hunting, bow hunting elk.
Oh, that'd be awesome. We'll do one. Yeah, we'll do some podcasts. Our listeners would eat that up.
I've already been up shooting in the garage this morning.
Really?
Before everybody got up. That was the first thing I did. I got up and went out in the garage. I got my markers in the driveway, and I got my target in the garage.
Of course you do.
Because I don't like. Yeah, of course I do. And gotta get this old body ready to go chase elk in September.
You just endeared yourself to so many guys listening to the show. All right, so let's let's go. We're doing Oklahoma and Texas, and I think we should do Oklahoma first.
We can. We had a good show yesterday talking NFL rookies.
Oh, that's right. All right, NFL
rookies.
rookies, real quick. Will you
Right?
tell me
So
what
we
you
were
told
we were
me
talking-
about a team over
Right.
in South Carolina?
Yeah, folks. Right after the show, Bo called. He's like, "That was cool. That was fun, man. That was fun." I'm like, I didn't even get talked about one of my little favorite stats that I found in there. One of my favorite metrics of the NFL draft in the SEC. Actually, it's not the draft; it's rookies. I never talk about it, folks, from a draft standpoint, because 11% of NFL starts are undrafted free agents. Those guys are really important. Okay. And this is when I was looking at the numbers, surprised nobody, right? Of the 8 teams that have 25 rookies in the NFL for the last 4 years, new players to the NFL, of the 8, 5 of them were SEC, right? Georgia, Alabama, LSU, Auburn, Florida. That doesn't surprise anybody. Right there, those are your teams that had 25 or more rookies in the last 4 years. There's your top 4 SEC. Wouldn't have shocked nobody. Number 6, South Carolina. South Carolina's had 21 rookies in the NFL in the last 4 years. That's more than Texas, 20. That's more than Tennessee, 17. More than A&M, 17. More than Kentucky, Mississippi State, 15, 15, 15. Missouri, 14. South Carolina, who'd have guessed that? When I was looking at this, I was like, ooh. And it got me thinking, because we know Will Muschamp can't head coach with a damn, right? I mean, he couldn't do it at Florida, couldn't do it at South Carolina, right? We know he's a pretty good defensive coordinator. Look, he's got a national title ring, and he's doing pretty decent at Georgia. But I'm wondering, is Will Muschamp, is one of his superpowers, and everybody says he's a great recruiter, he might be a really good evaluator. He might be a really good evaluator, because the South Carolina rookies in the NFL, it's predominantly his guys. And folks, I don't consider transfers. Transfers do not register in my numbers, because you recruit them, you build them, you send them to the NFL. If you bought them and they transferred, nobody gets credit for that. That's his own guy. So South Carolina, 6th in the SEC in the last 4 years of rookies in the NFL, and a lot of that was built around Will Muschamp. Like him or not as a head coach, like him or not as a DC, he might be just an absolutely excellent talent evaluator. And look at Georgia. He's been at Georgia now for, 3 years?
Yeah.
Georgia put the most rookies into the NFL in the last 4 years. We don't see that slowing down anytime soon. I just thought it was a really interesting number inside everything SEC.
That's incredible, because they haven't been any good, but they're sending a ton of players to the
They're
NFL.
sending players. Look, this has been a top 20 recruiter for the entire century, right? It didn't matter who's been recruiting there. They recruit between 16 and 23 every single year. They're the most consistent recruiter in all of college football for the last 25 years.
Really?
You know, I know what I'm getting. I know exactly what I am getting out of South Carolina recruiting. It didn't matter who was there. Will Muschamp, Steve Spurrier. I thought Spurrier would go there and, oh, man, the recruiting's going to take off. 19, 20, 21, 19, 18. And then Muschamp comes in. I'm like, oh, he's got to do better than Spurrier. 18, 19, 21. Same thing. And Beamer's there. It actually fell off with Beamer because he got a little enamored with the transfer portal. And so his high school recruiting fell into the 30s because he put too much stock into the transfer portal. I still say that is a very, very bad idea. I'd rather be Dabo taking nobody than Dion taking everybody. So that's a different discussion. But South Carolina has been really, really consistent outside that little transfer portal blip, and now Shane is back into the high teens, low 20s. That is exactly who South Carolina is. And they have, and if you look at the consistency of what they put into the NFL, they had 21 guys the last 4 years. The previous 4 years, 21 guys. Previous to that, 21 guys. I mean, this is a really, really consistent program. except wins and losses.
God, what is Ole Miss? All right, we want to stay on. All right, we wanted to do that.
No. Let's. Yeah, we hit that because I thought it was a fun little SEC nugget for everybody to chew on, right?
Sure.
And if you have any questions about these NFL stuff, folks, just hit me on my text line. It's 971-217-8419. This will be replayed, so you can write it down later. But just shoot me a text. I'll try to answer any question y'all got. So let's get back to these two teams you wanted to talk about this morning, though. We got Oklahoma and Texas. And right before you called, I pulled both schedules up.
Okay.
And it is because you and I both know Texas and Oklahoma don't recruit that far apart, right? Texas recruiting a little bit better than Oklahoma. But you want to talk about a tale of two different schedules. This is it. So, let's kick it off with Oklahoma. You go first.
All right. I want to go their first four games. Temple.
Yeah.
Houston, Tulane, Tennessee, all in Norman.
All in Norman. And I mean, we got to go win, right across the board. If they don't start 3-0, they're not going to go to a bowl. I'll say that right now. They lose any of those three games, they are going to be sub 500. All right. Temple, that's a cakewalk. Houston, new coaching staff. Right, Houston wasn't good last year on offense or defense. Brand new coaching staff with Willie Fritz and those guys. That should be a walk in the park too. Tulane, no offense, should have an awesome defense. You know, they brought the head coach over from Troy. They have a great staff. By the way, if you're looking for really good defensive coaches, go poach from Tulane's defensive staff. They're all really, really good. But that should just be an easy W too. Tulane is not going to be the team that you've seen the last couple of years because you lost all that coaching continuity and player continuity. So 3-0 right out of the gate. Anything less than that, they're not going to hit 6-6. And then the real first SEC game, and you got Josh Heupel in Tennessee coming in. I mean, that to me, I'm looking at it going, that's a W. I'm going to take a W for Oklahoma, but
close.
I think, but it's got to be a coin flip game, right?
Right.
I mean, that's got to go in the. If we're looking at our buckets, how I like to break down a schedule is the wins, the losses, the coin flips, and we're going to say coin flip a lot in the next 3 minutes. A lot. Okay. They get Tennessee at home right out of the gate, and Tennessee, from a talent standpoint, Tennessee is very similar to Oklahoma. As good, maybe just a slight step back, but Tennessee, I got them with a top 15 staff. Keep in mind, and before I get too much farther into it, is Oklahoma staff. We have them graded bottom half of the SEC. Just don't see this as that great of a staff. We have them coming in. They are 47th in the country. In overall staff. They are pretty similar. Some of their peers, Kentucky, Miami, Kansas, Minnesota, but 47 and top 15 is a pretty long ways apart. I'm still going Oklahoma to win that game at home. We're starting 4-0. I'm sticking with home field advantage, talent edge. I believe Oklahoma's going to win that. Neither one of us are going to be surprised if they lose that, right? So we're 4-0. Heading into, Tennessee is really the meat of the schedule, right? Because you got Tennessee, Auburn, Texas, South Carolina, and Oklahoma. Goes to Ole Miss. So there's five top 25 recruiters in a row. 5 top 25 recruiters in 4 weeks. That's more top 25 recruiters than Oklahoma's played in the last 4 years.
Wow.
So I think one of the difficulties for Oklahoma and Texas, I think one of the biggest difficulties is mentally getting up for the physicality, mentally getting up for the crowds. I think a lot of, can they play with these guys? Absolutely. Absolutely they can. But psychologically, they haven't had to. This is a new environment for them, home and road. So, by the time they get to that 5th week at Ole Miss, I think physically and mentally, it's going to be brutal. So We'll give them the win with Oklahoma, Tennessee. That's 4-0, and I think their first loss is coming at Auburn, Week 5.
Okay.
Going to the Plains. So now we're at 4-1, playing Texas. Now Texas has better talent. I know it's still a neutral field, so you got better talent, better coaching. I'm taking Texas. Now we're 4-2,
Mm-hmm.
and then they get to host South Carolina, the fourth top 25 recruiter in a row. They're going to win that one at home. Now we're at 5-2. Now they have to go to Ole Miss, and this is where I find the schedule very, very interesting from the standpoint of Oklahoma at Auburn. You lean Auburn at home. Oklahoma at Ole Miss. You lean Ole Miss at home. Ole Miss has, doesn't quite recruit at the Oklahoma level, but their staff is top 5 in the country. They're at home. So we start 4-0, but then we lose 3 of the next 4 is what I got. So now here we are through 2/3 of the season, 8 games in. I'm at 5-3 right now for Oklahoma.
Okay. And then they beat Maine.
They beat Maine, right?
They go to Columbia, Bartoo.
Right. And here's another coin flip. Right? Here's
this is a toss-up game, man.
Toss-up. Right? We got Tennessee toss-up. We got an Auburn toss-up. We got a Texas toss-up. We got Oklahoma at Ole Miss. I still say that's closer to a coin toss, right? A lot of 50-50 games, but nothing's really in their favor, right? These are all good staffs. They are all good recruiters. They got a bunch of road games in here. And now they get the week off. People listening right now are probably, well, they're coming off weekend at Maine, and that gets them right for going to Missouri, give them a good shot at Missouri. And I would agree with that to a certain extent, but the Missouri game is a brutal trap game because guess who's coming into Norman next week? Alabama. Alabama is going to Norman right after that Missouri game. And so for that reason, Missouri-Oklahoma coin flip, I'm leaning Missouri. Okay, so now we're 6-4. We're going to host Alabama. I know Nick ain't there anymore, but I ain't betting against them.
Mm-mm.
Right now we're at, what are we at? 6-5. And Oklahoma at LSU to finish it out. They got to be exhausted physically and mentally at this point, especially mentally. We're looking at 6-6, man.
Wow. Okay. All right, Oklahoma.
Right? I mean, is there what's tell me where they get to 9-3 in the top 25 and even in the playoff conversation?
It won't happen. It will not happen.
I can't. In the first year in the SEC.
No.
The coaching continuity wasn't there. Here's the other thing. We were discussing this about the coaching staffs as well. Is Jeff did a freaking phenomenal job for Oklahoma last year, right?
He's talking about Jeff Lebby for our listeners.
Jeff Lebby, yeah, and Jeff, he got the quarterback right. No, that doesn't surprise anybody. Jeff is one of the top 5 quarterback coaches in all of college football. I mean, you look at his quarterbacks everywhere he's been, just on fire. But the guy that replaced Jeff at Oklahoma, Luttrell, he has an excellent OC grade. But here's the thing, is his grade is extremely pass dominant. He is not a good run offensive coordinator. He is an excellent pass offensive coordinator. And we were talking about this, and in the Big 12, where you're smaller and it's more of a passing conference, you can get away with that. Can you get away with having no run game in the SEC?
No, for the most part, no. Leach was the freak, as we talked about.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And so, especially in the first year in the SEC and going up against all these DCs you've never seen. So I think Oklahoma's disadvantaged in a lot of ways, right? They have a physicality for the Big 12. So, I think that's going to be a tough adjustment. I think the way the defenses are going to go is going to be a tough adjustment. I think mentally is going to be the hardest adjustment. And then on top of that, you've played an average of one top 25 recruiter a year for the last 10 years, Texas, and you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them in 9 weeks.
Oh my.
Right? Right? 8 of them in 9 weeks. So talk me. I feel like the guy at the lemonade stand. Oklahoma's going 6-6, 7-5. Tell me why they're not. Right? And now you know why. If they lose to Houston or Tulane, I say they're going under 500 if they lose any of those first 3 football games.
Ooh. And Castiglione just bid against himself and extended Venables for no reason. Bartoo on the Out of Bounds show.
Come on, everybody does that. That's the way it works, man. That's the way it works, right?
I know.
I mean, I can give you every other SEC head coach that got an extension, but nobody else was talking about him. Nobody else was interested in them. So that's just the way of the world. It's cool. It's a great job if you can get it. A lot of pressure, a lot of time, but kudos to everybody that lands a head coaching job in FBS football.
Oh, no doubt. Dan Mullen and Will Muschamp are not worried about anything today as far as their bank account. And
no, their great grandkids aren't worried about anything.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Dave Bartoo on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. All right, we're going to do Texas. That was phenomenal. The South Carolina stuff and rookies in the NFL under Muschamp and kind of where it's going with Beamer. Ole Miss is playing South Carolina. I expect them to beat the brakes out of them this year. So there's a tie there. State played them last year and actually almost beat them, and they were in shambles last year.
Texas is going 11-1.
Okay, Texas is going 11-1.
I know we didn't get Texas. They're going to 11-1, dude. I mean, this thing is. You got 2 minutes. You want me to just do Texas blast?
Yeah, I got. How long do I have? 60 seconds. I got 1 minute.
Okay. Here we go. Fastest minute in sports. Colorado State W. They're going to Michigan. Michigan is going to be down offensively and defensively. The staffing degrade on offense and defense is pretty substantial at Michigan. Great time to go on the road. Texas 2-0, 3-0 against UTSA, 4-0 against Louisiana Monroe. Come home against Mississippi State 5-0. We already talked about Oklahoma 6-0. Home against Georgia. Home against Georgia. I'm not betting against Georgia. There's their first loss. They go to Vanderbilt W. Florida at home W, at Arkansas W, against Kentucky W, and on the road against a brand new head coach in A&M, Mike Elko. That puts them at 11-1. I like 10.5 for their win total. Texas is going to the playoffs, and if they don't, it is an absolute failure on taking advantage of this new SEC schedule for them.
Love you, buddy. Happy 4th.
Take it easy.
Bartoo on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Don't forget about the Keg House. Highway 51 in Ridgeland. The Muffaletta. The Game Day Pretzel. 41 beers on tap. All at the Keg House in Ridgeland. Highway 51. Happy 4th of July to you and yours. We're going to get out of here for a couple of days. And we'll see you Monday at 7 a.m. Happy 4th. See ya.